Michael Kenneth Williams, you co-star in the HBO film Bessie as Jack, who is the husband of Bessie Smith. The film has been in the works for actually several years. At what point did you come on board?
I would say I came on board at the very last minute. The film was already ready to go, basically, and I got the audition, and I went into the HBO office, and the rest was history.
And did you have much familiarity with the story of Bessie and Jack's relationship before taking the role, or was that completely news to you?
I was completely ignorant to the legacy of Bessie Smith. I barely remember ever hearing her name. I did know of Ma Rainey only through Whoopi Goldberg's performance of her on Broadway several years ago, but I was completely ignorant to Bessie Smith prior to reading the script.
Yeah, what was it like, discovering this story, through the script, and did you do any, other reading or listen to any of her music and any of that stuff?
The feeling, well, my first feeling was anger. I was extremely annoyed that I had no knowledge of this woman, having come from a musical background. I played in my band throughout school, and just, having a musical background, I just was angry that I had no knowledge of her, first of all. And then, I was just overwhelmed with just all this history about this remarkable woman who just broke down so many barriers on so many different levels, and a lot of them are the reasons why I'm here today. And I just was very proud to be able to be a part of her legacy and and to portray a part of her story.
Bessie Smith, is a historical figure, and there's a lot of recordings of her music, obviously, but Jack isn't as well known, historically. How do you go about inhabiting, this real character who didn't really have as much of a famous public persona?
Well, I had to do the research. There's a ton of interviews online. One in particularly from I believe his niece, that is a part of Bessie Smith's recording. It was, I believe it's called Life on the Road with Bessie Smith, and this lady is telling stories, vivid, very accurate stories about her time on the road with Bessie and Jack. So it was things like that. I would read different articles on him online, and I just kind of came up with my own assumption of who and what he was, based on the script and what I was able to conjure up online.
When we first meet him in the film, he already comes on very strong, very cocky. His first thing he tells her, I'm auditioning to be your man. What did you think of that first scene between them?
That first scene was intense. I wish I had the balls to be that that upfront when I like someone. But he was very, he's very, upfront about who and what he was. There was some showboating going on in that initial meeting. He knew that he had to come strong, or he would be sent home tail between his legs. And a lot of that too came from his insecurities. Jack G was, I believe he was illiterate. Minimal education, hardworking. I don't think he had very strong family ties. So he was a self-made man of the day, a black man of the day. And so there was a lot of insecurities, but a lot of pride that went into who and what he was at that time. So he was, he was definitely kicking his game, but there was some game in there, but there was also some, this is what it is.
And the relationship between them, Jack and Bessie is pretty volatile throughout the story. As you were getting into this character, what did you think kept these two drawn to each other, for the time they were together, given how sometimes self-destructive they are and hurtful they are to each other?
I think the thing that attracted them and kept them together for so long was age-old story. They both love drama. There's an old saying: just because two people love each other doesn't necessarily mean they're meant to be together. And I think that was the case with Bessie and Jack. They were both very self-destructive. They each came from a lot of pain that they had yet to resolve in their own past, and they looked at each other in a sense as each other's crutch, and that's not really a healthy thing. They were both, it's codependent, a lot of codependency going on in their relationship, which I don't think is healthy for any relationship.
And the relationship, between them in the film comes to a head when Bessie buys that big house, and then even brings a little boy to be their new son. Tell me about shooting those group scenes, where you have so many of the film's major characters and relationships all sort of coming together.
That was a hard scene, and particularly the scene that you speak of with Candy Alexander. She should come attached with a warning sticker, because she's so dope, and she's so in the moment. You never know what's going to come out of her mouth, and she gives you these looks that you just I couldn't stop laughing. She would blow the smoke from my face. It was definitely a day to bring your A game, man, because everybody was at their best at that Thanksgiving dinner when Bessie brings home Jack Jr. But in that scene, that I think that spoke to how much Jack loved her. That was he's been putting up with a lot. First of all, he has insecurities. He needs to be needed. He doesn't like the brother. He wants to be the number one man in her life, and he's challenged by her relationship with her female lover, and her will to do what she wants, and he wanted to control her. But the reason that he couldn't control her was what made him love her. But the same token, he wanted to control her, and so things when, like, she brought the son home, he was like, well, if I truly love this woman, if I want to be in her life, and if I want to get to the bigger picture, which is all of us making money and living happily ever after, these are some of the things I'm going to have to deal with and make it work.
Your primary scene partner in the film, of course, is Queen Latifah as Bessie. How was it working with her, particularly in some of those, most intense scenes, towards the end of their marriage?
Well, first of all, Dana, as I refer to her, Dana and I have a very long friendship. We've known each other. I think I was 19 and she was 17. I remember days when she would tell me, one day I'm going to get a record deal. Like, I have those memories of her as we were kids. So to be working with her now in this space was definitely, for me, a dream come true, given the past that we've both come from. And, we bought that history. I love her. Like, I truly do love her. And I believe Jack loved Bessie. And just like Jack G's and Bessie's relationship, there were trials and tribulations, much like Dana and I went through in our years knowing each other. And so we brought all of that to the table. All of that was in there. But in particularly the scene you speak of when Jack G and her are having that big fight when he punches her in the stomach, that was particularly hard for me. One is because I would die before I would see anything negative happen to her, me as a human, as Michael. Two is because it struck up a lot of memories of my past growing up, my childhood in my household, my mom and dad. Some of the arguments that Bessie and Jack would have were very similar in my household. So that particular scene was a portal for me, a time travel. And then to look at her and not see her, to see Bessie, and it was I truly believe that we captured the essence of those two characters, in particularly in that scene. Because you saw the love. It was passion, anger, and love all mixed up into one.
And having known each other, for as long as you two have, being in this film together, are there also a sense of how far you two have both come in your careers as performers?
Absolutely. This was definitely a 360 situation for both of us. We've come full circle, not just because we know each other for so long, or not just because of the fact that we're here at this level in our careers, but mainly for me because of we didn't have to be here. It wasn't guaranteed that we would be here. We both come from very sordid pasts. Her from New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey. Me from Brooklyn. We've overcome a lot of obstacles to be here today. A lot of people that we knew that we ran the streets with are are either dead or incarcerated. So for us two to be at this junction in our lives, on this level, this plateau, uh, it's it's truly humbling. Very grateful.
The film is Bessie's story first and foremost. So a lot of what we get of their marriage together is the ways in which Jack hurts her. Especially at the end of their relationship. But did you find yourself having a lot of sympathy for Jack also? That maybe she hurt him just as much as he hurt her.
Absolutely, absolutely. Bessie was no walk in the park. She was an extreme handful, and not anyone could handle that type of woman. And I believe he had most of the tools to deal with a strong woman such as Bessie. But yeah, he put up with a lot. There's a lot of his times he swallowed his pride. How do you deal with when you're a woman, when you can't give your woman the one thing that is one of the most important things in a relationship, which is a certain touch, a certain love, a certain type of love. Jack is not a female. He doesn't know how to love her like another woman, and he was powerless in that. And there's a pain that comes in that when you love someone. It's just, there's a certain part of them that you can't fulfill because you're not equipped. He had to deal with that, and he had to deal with the fact that she had other men, and the way he dealt with that is sometimes by going with other women. And when he got angry because of his lack of education, he dealt with things, sort of ignorantly by putting his hands on her. But I truly believe that came out of a sense of pain and a sense of his warped interpretation of love.
Interestingly, Bessie is set in close to the same time frame as Boardwalk Empire, which ended last fall after 5 seasons, and of course they're very different kinds of stories, and you're playing very different characters in both of those. But did your work on Boardwalk sort of make it easier to slip into the time period of Bessie?
Absolutely. Having played Chalky White definitely was instrumental in me getting into the mindset of Jack G. And particularly the love for the style of clothes, the way he wore the clothes. There's a certain swagger when you put those types of those suits on, those hats, and those that type of the suspenders, a certain type of walk. And Chalky definitely aided me in the in bringing that aspect of Jack G to life. The love of music, what the struggle was. Their struggles were very similar. Black men trying to make it in America. One was a bootlegger, and one decided that he was going to marry the woman of his dreams and use her as a vehicle to getting him a better way of life. In the same time frame, it was do or die for both men.
And a big part of both, Boardwalk and Bessie, as you mentioned, is the challenges facing, the Black community in the 20th century. After these projects, did you take away any insights into the experiences of those times that maybe you didn't have before?
Yeah, Bessie's story is a little more close to the vest for me, only because she was an artist, and I know. And for me, I know that a lot of the struggles that she overcame, or a lot of the vices that she fell prey to, her pain, her struggle is definitely part of the reason that I stand here today. She opened doors for me. So her story is a little more close to the vest, just for that one reason only.
And the last season of Boardwalk Empire, was pretty bloody all the way around. And your character, Chalky White, he ended up being gunned down. What was it like shooting your last scenes and saying goodbye to that character and that show after 5 seasons?
It was difficult. A lot goes into saying goodbye. It's not just the character; it's your coworkers, the crew, my other castmates, the writers, the sets. You have to say goodbye and divorce. All of that is not just having a job. So it's tough. It's tough. 5 years, man, same crews. It's just like any other job. You miss people. You miss having to go to that one place of work and working together. So that given said, but for me, I had to really surrender. I had to surrender to the process. That I didn't. It's hard, man. It's just hard. You just got to surrender and go with the flow. Trust the writers and trust that this is what it was supposed to be. Because you're powerless. You can't change the writer's mind. If I had my way, Boardwalk would have gone on for another 2 seasons, or at least giving us a full 12 episodes. But you just learn to go with the flow. You breathe, and you just have to trust the process. But it's never easy. It's always a jagged pill.
It's a sort of interesting that Chalky White and your character from The Wire, Omar Little, both sort of met similar fates, in different ways. But was there any feeling of deja vu there?
Absolutely. There's a lot of deja vu. I believe someone on Twitter brought to my attention that it was the same episode number or something to that effect, that both characters died in season 5, same episode number. There were some similarities. For me, it's the feeling of having to say goodbye, to a character that I particularly grew to love. I admired Omar. I admired Chalky. I love these men, and I pulled from my own personal experiences to breathe life into them. So naturally, there's a period of grief, I guess, but it comes with the territory. You gotta suck it up and on to the next one.
The Wire was a major breakthrough role, and it's the kind of show, that even a decade later, people are still talking about, and people are still discovering it. Looking back on it now, what did that experience on that show mean to you?
Man, looking back on The Wire, I'm so grateful to have been a part of that. I went through my little ignorant evolutions with that show. Season 1, I was very green, new to the whole games. I was just happy to have a gig, black man working, what I mean? And then when season 2 came and David Simon brought all the white actors in and told the stories of the docs, I got extremely bitter and angry. I was like, here we go again. As soon as black folks make it hot, y'all want to come and give it to white people. This is not cool, and I was just like, so I went to Dave. I was like, what's up with that? And he was like, trust me, if I would have gone back into the projects, as he called it, he said that storyline, it would have made the whole world look so much smaller. He said, trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. And around season 3, it started to make sense. I was like, oh, it's not about me. Oh, it's not about me. It's not about, my job and my career. It's about being a part of something that was really going to change television history, the way we view it, to open conversation, dialogue, to where 8 or 10 years after the show's life, people are still talking about it. And I just got really grateful that I had just a small part to play in this great piece of work that it is The Wire.
You're best known for playing, these kinds of intense and intimidating characters, but you have done, some comedy in the past. Is that something you'd like to do more of?
Oh man, I welcome any opportunity to laugh at myself. My laughter comes from a sense of irony. Where I come from, they say you have to laugh to keep from crying. And so I love to laugh at my pain. Sometimes you just gotta just say, what, some bullshit. You know what I mean? But yeah, I love doing comedy. I just actually had one of the greatest opportunities. I consider this a milestone in my career, man. I got to work with Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph and all the writers and from Saturday Night Live in the second season of something called Spoils Before Dying. It was actually the Spoils Over Babylon, the first season with Tobey Maguire, Will Ferrell is in it. He produced it, and they approached me for the season 2, and I'm the lead storyline. And I tell you, man, those Kristen Wiig, Maya Rudolph, again, very dangerous people. Warning, stay away. These women are extremely armed and very dangerous with their tongue. I pulled a muscle in my rib cage because during the scene, Kristen Wiig, whatever's on the page, I'm prepared for that. When these women start ad-libbing and doing improv and going off the fucking page. Excuse my language. I'm not prepared for that. And I'm sitting in a scene trying to be the good actor, not laugh in a scene, and I literally hurt myself. I had to go to a doctor and find out what the heck was wrong with my side. But I love comedy. I love good writing. I love good comedy. I would definitely look for the opportunity to do it again.
Well, congratulations again on Boardwalk Empire and Bessie this year, and fingers crossed. Very much looking forward to that. Spoils Before Dying. What did you say was the title of that?
Yeah, Spoils Before Dying.
Yeah, looking very much forward to that too, and thank you very much for talking to me today.
Thank you. Happy holidays.